We have an incredibly interesting show coming up on today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome in. And we're going to be looking at a major change that Kevin O'Connell made during the Washington Commanders game that led to the Vikings beating Washington 31-0. Now, this video, it honestly concerns me about the head coach, but it also, there is some light at the end of the tunnel that maybe he is more willing to change than we initially thought. So first off, I want to talk about personnel groupings. Now, this is kind of going to be the base of today's show because we're talking about the Vikings using different type of personnel groups, and I will give a huge shout out. Phil Mack, you guys know him with Score North. He tweeted out a couple of these concerning stats, but I just want to do a full video on it, really dive into it. So if you guys don't know, 11 personnel in the NFL is when you have 3 wide receivers, 1 running back, 1 tight end. 12 personnel, 2 wide receivers, 1 running back, 2 tight ends. 22, 2 running backs, 2 tight ends. 21, 2 running backs, 1 tight end. 13 personnel, 1 running back, 3 tight ends. So pretty much just a number. If it's 11, 1 running back, 1 tight end, rest wide receivers. 12, 1 running back, 2 tight ends, rest wide receivers. So the Vikings, before Week 14 against the Washington Commanders, they ran 11 personnel on over 70% of offensive snaps. This is at the top of the league, top 5 to be specific. So the Vikings are running 11 personnel more than anybody. Now, you would think if they're running 11 personnel a lot, that the Vikings are probably pretty good out of 11 personnel. That actually couldn't be farther from the truth. This is incredibly concerning. When the Vikings run 11 personnel, they rank 333rd out of 334 in offensive EPA, minus 79. And pretty much how do you get to that number of 334 is like you take all 32 NFL teams, you divvy up how many different packages they run. So there are 334 different combinations, and the Vikings are second and last when they are in 11 personnel. And it is almost so bad that that doesn't even feel possible to me, where especially if you consider the offensive talent the Vikings have when they are in 11 personnel, and they are one of the worst packages in the NFL. Like this grouping right here you're seeing on screen of Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Jalen Nailor, Aaron Jones, and TJ Hockenson. When the Vikings have these 5 as their group of weapons out there on the football field, it's one of the worst in the National Football League. Like you are even worse than some of the Titans packages, some of the Saints packages, some of the Jets packages, some of the Browns packages. Like the Vikings are that bad. But what is the most concerning part of all this is Kevin O'Connell refusing to get out of 11 personnel. Like, he knew those numbers. Other NFL teams knew those numbers. Like, the fact that a guy like Phil Mackey can just put that on Twitter for everybody to see, like, obviously defensive coordinators know that. Obviously other coaches in the NFL know that. And the fact that Kevin O'Connell was running 11 personnel 70% of the time when that is one of the worst packages in all of football makes you think. Secondly, about your head coach, who just won Coach of the Year last year, which also, it gets me back to, I think the league has maybe figured out KOC, because this is not the first year where KOC's running 11 personnel. Like, that's his bread and butter. That's Sean McVay's bread and butter, where they're running 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back. That's where he feels most comfortable working out of, and the fact that you're one of the worst in the league in those packages, concerning stuff. So what say you on this one? We'll get bold here on today's show. Should the Vikings fire Kevin O'Connell? Give me a Y for yes. Give me an N for no. What say you? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. All right, now I will say this. If he doesn't change, then yeah, 100% the Vikings should fire Kevin O'Connell. I've already kind of made that declaration on previous shows that if Kevin O'Connell refuses to change, his offensive identity, his offensive scheme, then yeah, the Vikings should let him go, because clearly the league's figured him out, and I think if he doesn't change, it's probably only going to get worse from here. Now, I will say these final few weeks are incredibly huge for Kevin O'Connell. I will say that, because if he doesn't just get this offense, just even getting back to middle of the pack, flirting with a top 10 unit, because for the first time all year they are fully healthy, he should be on the hot seat. So this is going to be a huge stretch for him. Now, the one thing that was positive in KOC, maybe showing some self-awareness, changing a little bit, was what he did against the Commanders. Now, in 13 personnel, so 3 tight ends, 1 running back, the Vikings ran 5 plays out of 13 personnel. Here's a fun fact. You want to know how many plays before last week's game against the Commanders the Vikings ran 13 personnel? It was 10 times. And they ran it 5 times in just 1 week. And the rest in 11 personnel, which was 49% of the time to be exact. So there was a 30 or a 20% drop off in 11 personnel usage against the Commanders where they had their best game of the season. It's just more concerning where it's like, what took you so long to get here? What took you so long to use more tight ends, to be in more 13, to be in more 12 personnel? And even the more concerning part is that Sean McVay runs 13 personnel more than anyone in the NFL. That's his mentor. That's the coaching tree he came from. And the fact that he saw Sean McVay being so successful in 13 personnel that maybe it's his ego or his stubbornness was like, you know what, I'll sit in 11. I'm still going to do my own thing. I'm not going to try to adjust to the trends going on around the NFL, because the most successful offenses this season are the ones that use multiple tight ends the most. That is one of the biggest kind of changes that we have seen year after year in the NFL compared to last year, where it's like teams who use their tight ends a lot, they're being the most successful on offense. They're generating the most explosive plays. They're the most successful in the ground game. And it's also not like the Vikings. It's not like they don't have two tight ends. You just paid Josh Oliver 3 years for $24 million this offseason. So why did you even pay Josh Oliver? He is one of the best run-blocking tight ends in the league. You got him. You got T.J. Hockenson. Then you could still sit in 12 personnel with 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. Just use multiple tight ends. Like, it is so mind-boggling to me sometimes of this man, Kevin O'Connell. So we'll talk about him coming up here in just a second. But if you guys could, hit that subscribe button. We are 27 subscribers away from 68,100 subs. So hit that subscribe button today if you guys haven't already. Help us out here. We'll keep you guys posted all season long around your Minnesota Vikings. So hit that subscribe button today. Just need 27 more people to do just that. All right, coming up next on the show, I want to dive more in depth into Kevin O'Connell and really explain to you guys why I truly believe he should be on the hot seat, and this is a very important 4-game stretch for KOC. But before we do so, today's show is brought to you by Harry's, a shaving company, and here's an example of one of their brand new razors. And for a limited time, our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/chat. And Harry's is absolutely awesome. And Harry's Plus isn't just a razor. It's the centerpiece of a full grooming lineup, from shave gel to body wash, all designed with the same attention to detail. And everything is delivered straight to your door from Harry's own factory to your bathroom. No middleman, no markups, just premium gear on your schedule. Now, I've used other razors in the past. I'm not going to lie, some of them really irritated my neck. Some of the razors got way too dull, way too fast, but that's not the case at Harry's. Harry's completely blew me away, and it's completely changed how I view shaving my face every single day. And they just launched their brand new razor called Harry's Plus, and it's actually Harry's heaviest handle ever, to give you guys even more control on your shave. So for a limited time, our listeners can get Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/chat. This set includes all new Harry's Plus razor, 1 refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foam and shave gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. And just head to harrys.com/chat to claim this offer. And after you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show, Vikings Out by Chat Sports, and tell them we sent you. All right, let's talk about Kevin O'Connell and why he should be on the hot seat for the remainder 4 games of the season. And I think the biggest reason for KOC being on the hot seat is it is the coach's job to adjust his scheme to the quarterback, and he has not done that. And I think after seeing KOC, and why I was so frustrated after the Commanders game is because we saw it, like even just watching the TV copy. It was heavier personnel sets. It was more tight ends. It was making the kind of game, as you know, KOC like to call it. He wanted to dumb down the offense, which in my opinion was kind of a backhanded shot at J.J. McCarthy. But seeing how successful J.J. was, like, that was in him this whole season. Instead of KOC being stubborn to go back to his old offensive identity where it's like, hey, we're asking our quarterbacks to make big boy reads, big boy throws, which suits a veteran a lot more, like a Kirk Cousins or a Sam Darnold, compared to a guy like J.J. Now, I will say with Kevin O'Connell, he can easily get himself off the hot seat. Like, if the Vikings go 3-1 over their last 4 games here, or if they go 4-0, like, I would not be pounding the table to say KOC should be fired. But the reason I'm saying it right now is because the Vikings offense has had historically bad games this season. It's not just that they, were putting up 10 points a game, like, over a couple game stretch. Like, no, like, you went into Green Bay. You had the worst second half I've ever seen from an offense in Vikings history. Then you followed that up by getting shut out for the first time since 2007. So that 6-quarter stretch was historically bad. And again, that's the NFL figuring out Kevin O'Connell because that's two smart defensive guys. Jeff Hafley of the Packers and Mike McDonald of the Seattle Seahawks. Two very smart defensive coordinators and defensive minds there. So clearly they figured out KOC a little bit. And also, like, congrats, Kevin O'Connell. You ran the ball and used quick passing game for one game against the Commanders. But if he goes back to who he was against the Cowboys and he's trying to generate explosive plays during the passing game, which you always should, but sometimes just make your quarterback's life a little easier. If he doesn't stick to these guns of running the football, setting up the quick passing game, getting J.J. McCarthy some easy looks, then yeah, he should be on the hot seat. And if the Vikings do build off what they did against the Commanders, then I do think KOC will be off the hot seat. Like, again, everybody, opinions can change. Like, if the Vikings adjust their scheme, if Kevin O'Connell does a better job, like, I will get up on here and say, yeah, okay, I was being too prisoner of the moment with KOC. Clearly he has adjusted. But if he doesn't adjust, and I don't think you should even think about bringing him back next season because clearly he's stubborn, his ego gets in the way, and the league has figured him out. And I think it would only get worse from there where it would be like, hey, if we're heading the next season and KOC's on the hot seat, and the Vikings start 2-4, then you're just going to fire him midseason. Then it's just like, well, you should have probably already done that this offseason. That's where I just don't want the Vikings to get caught in that middle ground. And I fully mean this. Kevin O'Connell should be under more pressure than J.J. McCarthy. Kevin O'Connell, this is his fourth year being the Vikings head coach. J.J. McCarthy is making his 8th career start against the Dallas Cowboys this weekend. KOC is the veteran. KOC is the guy that's won Coach of the Year awards. KOC is the guy calling the shots offensively. And I think everybody's like, oh, JJ's got to prove himself over the last 4 games if he can be the Vikings starting quarterback for next season. I think Kevin O'Connell should be having to prove himself if he should be the head coach for the Vikings next season. I will give Kevin O'Connell credit. He changed against Commanders. Good building block. Let's see where we can go from there. And, that's my thoughts. Just a very concerning video, though. Those stats are bad. So shout out to Phil Mackey again for tweeting those out. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, hit me those scores down below in the comment section. We'll get on out of here. Let's go Vikes.